Honestly, after Quebec City, I definitely felt this feeling of a little bit of a burnout. I had played, I think, something like 6 or 7 or 8 tournaments in a row, that summer, starting from Washington, D.C. and straight until Quebec City. And although I didn't go far in most of those tournaments, so I didn't play many matches every week, but that constant mental stress of playing a tournament every week, traveling from tournament to tournament every week, not taking time off or to train or anything. By the end of that, I was so, exhausted and sick of it. I didn't want to play a tournament anymore. And so I still wanted to try finish my year out well and play the last few in Europe. But besides that, I was like, I definitely need to kind of take a break.
You had committed to those tournaments though in Europe, like contractually.
Yeah, and
So
I was supposed to go to Asia.
Yeah.
I did make my commitment, and I was supposed to go to Asia as well. I mean, obviously those are the big events, but physically and mentally, it had taken its toll. I was starting to get old nagging injuries again, and mentally just not wanting to do anything. So honestly, I took a lot of time, and it was honestly very, very worth it for me.
Tennis career. It's almost dangerous maybe to even get a taste of it in that sense because it gives you a window into maybe what you've been missing.
I completely understand your point, and that's a very good point. But for me, I do love to live that normal life once in a while. But as soon as I'm into it for more than a couple of days, a week, 2 weeks go by, I'm like, what am I doing? For me, I would much rather be on the court playing tournaments, training, all that good stuff. So at the end of the day, whenever I do live a little bit of a normal life, it reminds me of what I really want to do. So that's never a problem for me.
Tell me about your coaching situation. You obviously had a bit of a short off season in terms of trying to find a new coach. Did you look at other options? Tell me what the process was there.
Yeah, well, after the season, I decided, I wanted something new, and it's definitely a process, because there are not that many great coaches out there, and most of them are taken. So it's,
and a lot of girls are looking too.
and at the end of the season is often when people make a lot of switches, and that's kind of this musical chairs thing of players and coaches all going around. So it's quite complicated, but I've had my agents to help me out with that, and luckily I'm so grateful that Thomas has agreed to work with me again, and I feel like he's maybe something that was a missing piece as well this year to kind of have better results.
But you had him, and you let him go. So what do you think would be different this year?
I think the way it ended, I almost don't see it as ending, but more just taking a break in the spur of a moment because of an unfortunate incident, an unlucky bad decision by him, bad decision by me, that just kind of ended things in a bad way. But it was very small, and we've spoken about it since, obviously, and it really wasn't a big deal at all. And it's just unfortunate that a partnership ended like that, because it wasn't because we both didn't want to work with each other, So I think that's why we were both so happy to work with each other again, because we didn't have any problems and we really enjoyed our time together. So now it's just about being straightforward, being honest, and letting the little things go as well.
Well, I've heard
like a relationship.
Like a relationship. Yeah, one of the things that you have not had over the last couple of years is a team. It's one thing to have a coach, but certainly a team around you, which during your best time so far in your career you've had. What have you done about that? How are you going to reconstruct that nice little bubble, that comfort zone that I think was certainly part of the reason for your early success?
Yeah, when I had good success in 2014, I definitely had a solid team member in Scott. He was always there with me. He was a rock for me. And when I don't have a constant help like that, it definitely is a bit tougher. I especially feel the second part of this past year where I didn't even have a fitness trainer with me. I think that's also a big reason why I didn't have the success I wanted. So it's important for me to have that every week of the year next year, pretty much. And that is the plan. So I do have a fitness trainer now, and he will be with me all of the time, and Thomas will be with me most of the time, and which is okay too, because we don't necessarily need to see each other every single week. And we fill in those gaps. But I definitely want that consistency around me.
Are you going to have somebody with you on the weeks when he is not with you?
That plan is to do that. We don't know who that person would be yet. Thomas will start the year out with me, so we have time to kind of test and see maybe different people. At the end of the day, it's only a couple of weeks also, so I'm not too concerned about it. And for me, the most important thing is having Thomas and having his energy and having his passion for the game and for my game, and I think that'll help me a lot.
That's the one thing that struck me a year ago, before you started last year, was that he really believes in you, and he's very positive. Sometimes it seemed like he was annoyingly positive at times, but I think maybe you need to get the coach part and understand the personality part and take the parts that you need out of the relationship. Would that be an accurate lesson?
For sure, and take the good, and deal with the bad. And no one's perfect, but Thomas is honestly really, really great, and he is so positive and he believes in me so much, and he's trying to change my mentality of being too hard on myself, being too much of a perfectionist, which I do have come to realize as I have matured that I have put too much pressure on myself and I have been too hard on myself. So it's also important to give yourself credit and just be positive, because better things will happen.
What do you think the biggest thing you need to do to have a successful year? I'm not talking about ranking, I'm not talking about tournaments or wins or this or that. What do you think the biggest thing you need to do? Do you think you need to be calm? Do you think you need to do some things with your game? What do you think is the biggest element?
I think the biggest element is within me. I think it's that confidence and that belief. It's something I had so much when I started out on the tour, and of course it's easier to come out and be fearless when you're unknown and you're 18 and 19. But I want to get that same attitude back, and having people around me that fully believe in me and are great, have been proven to be great. That I've also, just in this example, I have worked with him and I did have success with him. Look, that's my plan right now, and I think that's the right path for me.
Is it fair to say that your game is built on confidence, that when you're confident you can execute it, when you're lacking confidence then it becomes a higher risk and much more difficult proposition?
I feel like that's how my game has been, and that's also something where, of course, I do want to be confident, but I also still want, the foundation. I want to be able to have that confidence in the consistency in my strokes, even if it's a bad day, even if I'm not feeling great, even if I lost first round last week and I'm not, sure about my level this week. So that's something why we're training so hard of, getting those repetitions in, trying to just be solid so that even, let's say, on your worst day, my base is here instead of being so wild and unpredictable, to have a more consistent range.
Yeah, less fluctuation.
Exactly. And that'll give me inherently more confidence, just because I know it can't range from, playing like my twin sister to, playing like I did to get to the finals of Wimbledon. So that's obviously the ultimate goal, having that crazy consistency like you see the top players have.